After you graduate, you wouldn't consider coming back to the building and loan with us, would you, George?
Oh, no, not me. I couldn't stand spending the rest of my life cooped up in a crummy little office.
Well, I don't.
No, I'm sorry, Uncle Billy. It's just the thought of spending the rest of my life trying to figure out how to save, 3 cents on a length of pipe. I go crazy. I want to do something big, something important.
Well, George, I think your dad and I feel that in a small way we are doing something important.
Oh, sure.
It's deep in the soul of a man that wants to own his own roof and walls and a fireplace to sit beside of an evening, and we'd like to feel that we're helping him get those things.
But now, Bill, you know that this town is no place for a young man unless he wants to crawl the pond. Now, you've got talent, George. We've all seen it. So you go on and you go get your education and, you just move on out of town if you have to.
Any idea what you are going to do, George?
Sure. I'm going to build things.
Oh.
Like skyscrapers 100 stories tall and bridges that are a mile long. It's been a dream all my life.
Still after that first million before you're 30?
No. I'll take half that in cash.
Oh. Well, your Aunt Tilly and I are sure going to miss you.
Oh, I'm going to miss you, too. That's for sure. So, Uncle Billy, would you mind bringing this into the house? I think I might drop by the school and see how Harry's dances do.
Well, you have a good time, son.
And you did have a good time, too. Remember, George? Yeah, that's the night you met Mary Hatch. Well, though, of course, you had known Mary all your life. Sure, she grew up 3 or 4 years right behind you and was always there, somewhere in the background, tagging along until one of you boys would notice and send her on her way. But, that never discouraged Mary. No, not her, nor any of the girls. Oh, they all had their eyes hooked on you. Especially Violet and Mary. You just never took the bait. Until the night of Harry's graduation. Now that's the night you danced the Charleston all night long with Mary Hatch. Until someone tripped the lock on the moving gym floor. And everyone fell or jumped into the swimming pool.
Buffalo gals, won't you come out tonight? Won't you come out tonight? Won't you come out tonight? Buffalo gals, won't you come out tonight? And dance by the light of the moon.
Hey, hot dog! Just like the church choir.
Beautiful.
Say, should have seen the commotion in that locker room. I bet I had to knock down 3 people to get this stuff that we're wearing. I bet half your class jumped in that pool.
Well, half the town said it wasn't a good idea to build a gym floor over a swimming pool.
Yeah.
I wonder who turned the key.
Probably someone who was jealous because he chose me to dance with you.
You think maybe?
Oh, here, let me hold that old wet dress of yours. Hello.
Hello? You look at me as if you don't know me.
Well, I don't.
You've passed me on the street almost every day.
Me?
Uh-huh.
That was a little girl named Mary Hatch. That was not you.
Do I look as funny as you do?
Okay. I guess I'm not quite the football type, huh? Hut, hut, whoo. But you look wonderful. If it wasn't me talking, I'd say you were the prettiest girl in town.
Well, why don't you say it?
Well, I might. Say, how old are you anyway?
You can't ask that.
I am.
18?
18? It was only last year you were 17.
Too young or too old?
Oh, no, just right. Hey, your age suits you. You look a lot older without your clothes on. I mean without a dress on. You look old. No, you look younger. Not younger. You look fine.
Sir, my train, please.
A pox upon me for a clumsy lout.
Do, 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 do.
Your caboose, milady.
You may kiss my hand.
Mary.
As I was lumbering down the...
All right, I'll throw a rock at the old Granville house.
Oh, no, don't. I love that old house.
Oh, no, you see, you make a wish, and then you try to break out some glass. You got to be a pretty good shot nowadays with so many windows already broken
Oh,
out.
don't, George. It's full of romance, that old place. I'd like to live in it.
In that old place?
Uh-huh.
I wouldn't live in it as a ghost. All right, now watch. Second floor. Woo-hoo, hot dog.
What did you wish, George?
So not just one wish, Mary. A whole hatful. You know, I know what I'm going to do tomorrow, and the next day, and the next year, and the year after that. I'm shaking the dust of this crummy town off my feet, and I'm going to see the world. Italy, Greece, the Parthenon, the Colosseum. I'll come back here and go to college and see what they know. And then I'm going to build things, Mary. I'm going to build skyscrapers that are 100 stories tall. I'm going to build bridges that... Hey, you going to throw a rock? Hey, not bad. What'd you wish for, Mary?
Buffalo gals, won't you come out tonight?
Won't you come out tonight? Won't you come out tonight? Buffalo gals, won't you come out tonight and dance by the light of the moon? What'd you wish when you threw the rock?
Oh, no.
Come on, tell me.
If I told you, it might not come true.
What do you want, Mary? Hey, do you want the moon? You just say the word and I'll throw a lasso up there and pull it down for you. Hey, that's a pretty good idea. I'll give you the moon, Mary.
I'll take it. And then what?
Well, then you could swallow it, and it would all dissolve, you see? And the moonbeams would shoot out of your fingers and your toes and the ends of your hair. Hey, am I talking too much?
Yes, you are.
Who's there?
Hey, why don't you kiss her and stop trying to talk her to death?
Youth, it's always wasted on the young.
You're telling me.
Hey, Bert, Ernie, come back here. Come on back. I'll show you some kissing that'll turn your heads around.
George, come on home quick. Your father's had a stroke.
Pop. Oh, Mary, I'm sorry. I've got to go.
Come on, George, let's hurry.
Need to send for a doctor?
Yeah, Campbell's there now.
It was nice of you to come, Mr. Potter.
Well, I'd say your father was the building and loan here in Bedford Falls, George.
I agree, Mr. Potter.
Of course, he wasn't a businessman, and that's what killed him. Oh, I don't mean any disrespect, God rest his soul. He was a man of high ideals, so-called, but ideals without common sense can ruin this town. So at our next Board of Trustees meeting, I'm going to make a motion.
A motion?
That's right. A motion to dissolve the institution and turn its assets and liabilities over to receivership.
But Mr. Potter, you can't do that.
Take this loan application the board stacked on this morning for Ernie Bishop. You know, that fellow walks around town all day delivering our mail, usually late, because he's always stopping to talk to everyone. Well, anyway, I happen to know that the bank turned down his loan. But he comes to the building and loan, and we're willing to build him a house worth $5,000. Why?
I handled that myself, Mr. Potter. You have all the paperwork there. You have his salary, his insurance. I can personally vouch for his character.
Oh, so he's a friend of yours, eh?
Yes, sir.
So, if you shoot pool with the manager's son, you can borrow money? And what does that get the building and loan? A discontented, lazy rabble rather than a thrifty working class. And all because some starry-eyed dreamers like your father stir them up and fill their heads with a lot of impossible ideas.
Now, hold on. Just a minute. Just a minute, Mr. Potter. You're right when you say my father was no businessman. I know that. And why he ever started this cheap penny-ante building and loan, I'll never know. But neither you nor anybody else can say anything against his character, because his whole life was... In the 25 years since he and Uncle Billy started this institution, he never once thought of himself or saved any money. but he did help a few people get out of your slums. And what's wrong with that, Mr. Potter? And remember this, the rabble you're talking about, they do most of the working and paying and living and dying in this community. Is it too much to ask that they work and pay and live and die in a couple of decent rooms and a bath? My father didn't think so. To him, people were human beings. But to you, a warped, frustrated old man, they're cattle. Well, in my book, my father died a much richer man than you'll ever be.
I am not interested in your book, young man. I'm talking about the building and...
I know what you're talking about. You're talking about something you can't get your hands on. And it's galling you. That's what you're talking about. Well, thank you very much for coming, Mr. Potter. I'll see you at the meeting.
But you're not on the board.
I hold my father's proxy, so I can't attend and cast a vote. You see, the way I look at it, Mr. Potter, this town needs my family's one-horse institution, if only to have some place they can go without crawling to you.
Get me out of here. Sentimental hogwash. I'm still going to make my motion, young man, and we'll see who has the power in this town. But you spoke eloquently at the board meeting that day, and they voted Potter down, remember?
Yeah, but on one condition I hadn't counted on.
Oh, that you take over your father's place, huh? And you did. And you turned over all of your school money to your brother Harry and sent him to college.
Then he became a football star. He made second team All-American.
Yes, and you, well, you got 4 years older.